Hey guys, John with Mojave Trails, and in this episode I'll be going over some work that I'm going to be doing on the Jeep today, getting ready for our trip to Wyoming. Soon Blake and I will be leaving and heading out there for a 10-day adventure. So there's a number of things I've been working on this all summer long, and I've purchased a bunch of equipment for the trip, and there's some stuff I got to do to the Jeep. Today I'm going to work in the garage, and I'm going to do some things like rotate the tires, take care of the rust that's underneath there. I'm going to be checking for any of the loose bolts and nuts underneath there. Just looking to see if there's if I can see anything that might be, need to be fixed before I go. As well as I bought a set of AutoLynx 2.0 disconnects. I'm going to be installing those today too. So there is some rust on the frame, and I'll show you that in a bit. About a year ago, I looked at it. It wasn't too bad. This Jeep is now just about 3 years old. Living here in Wisconsin, obviously we get a lot of snow and ice and salt in the winter time, so that takes its toll. Last year it wasn't too bad. I thought I would just get to it later, and I never did, and now there's a decent amount, so I can't wait anymore. I'll kind of show you what I do for that. Okay, I'm just going to go over a few of the tools that we're going to use today. This is just a bottle that I filled up with vinegar, and it's not the cleaner any longer. Vinegar works really well on rust. Spray that on, let it sit for 10 minutes, and it comes off really easy. Various wrenches. The tire wrench that came with the Jeep, they put them on so tight that I can't usually get them off any longer with just this, so that's also what I'm using this for. Is not so much as a torque wrench, just I got leverage to get the nuts off. And then various drivers and a well-organized set of sockets. So for the rust itself, I'll go ahead and spray with vinegar. Once that sits, I'll use the wire brush to scrape it all off. Then I'll go ahead and hit it with some sandpaper, like 100 grit. And once I get it all cleaned off, there's this product here I've got, Loctite. It's rust neutralizer. There's many different brands of this out there, and it basically bonds with the rust and the metal and helps prevent it from causing more rust. Supposedly it chemically changes it somehow. I don't know any of that. And then once that dries, I'll just paint it with some Rust-Oleum, rust preventer, and that should do a pretty good job of preventing it. I still gotta probably get on it every other year, and make sure that I repeat the process. This shouldn't wait as long as I did this time, but I'll show you a little bit what I got going on under there. Okay, I got the tires pulled off. Took a little more than it should have. My hydraulic jack needed more oil, so I had to run to the hardware store to get that. And I had a hard time getting the front bolts off. That's why I say on the tires, that's why I put the emergency brakes on. For the back, it's good. On the front, that's why I like to break them off before I jack up the vehicle. Finally got it. But let's take a look at, as far as rotating the tires, one thing I noticed on my tires, I look at them, I check them all over. There's no punctures or anything, which is good, no cuts on the sidewalls. But I do have wearing on the inside part of the tire.
more than on the outside and the middle. So it's a little bit uneven wear. That probably is an alignment issue, so I'll have to have that checked before I go. That's not something that I can do myself. And let's take a look at what this is. 3 years of a Jeep Gladiator in Wisconsin, and this is the amount of rust. I haven't done anything to it yet, but you can take a look and see how much rust we got. We have some rust here, a little bit up here, back in the frame there. The brakes, actually, for just under 60,000 miles, still look pretty good. Surprised, a little bit of rust on the brake, that's normal. On the frame here, this is kind of the worst parts. I got some rust on this, under here. Just along where the welds are. Most of the rust is all where the welds are. And again, last year there wasn't very much. If I would have taken care of it right away, it wouldn't even been that bad. But that being said, I'm glad I got to it now. It's not going to be that big of a job. My rust treatment plan is I spray with vinegar. So I've gone over. This is just a bottle that I've reused and put vinegar in it. And then I'm using this Loctite Extend Rust Neutralizer. So that chemically bonds with the rust in the metal. Supposedly prevents it, makes the rust not get any worse. And then I've just got an oil-based, and this requires an oil-based paint of some kind over the top of that. Exterior paint, black, underbody, whatever. This is what I had. It'll be fine. You can get a more specific one for like tractor parts, and if you want. Here on the front, again, along where the welds are, this arm isn't too bad. Sway bar, I'm going to replace this though with put the Apex on shortly after I take care of the rust. And if we walk over to the other side, it's about the same. This one's a little bit worse, a little more rust on that one, not sure why. But underneath, everything looks good. Again, same spot for rust as before. Skid plates. But I looked on the other side and I'm not seeing any wear. The drive shaft looks good. The differentials front and back look good. I'll check all these bolts, tighten them up, make sure they're at the torque specs. I did download the Gladiator torque spec sheet when I bought this thing, but I gotta find it, print it out, put that in the shop. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the rust, and we'll see in a bit. Okay, I have gone ahead and painted all the rust areas with this Loctite rust extender. I left one little spot here to show you how I did it. Nothing. This is super easy and simple. Basically, I've already, I did the wire brush on it as best I could, and then literally I just painted on like that. And you can see the areas that were rusty before, how they've all kind of changed color, gotten darker. Now this stuff has to dry. I'm gonna let it dry overnight, and then I will spray those areas as well with some oil-based exterior rust type metal spray paint, and that's going to be it. Okay, it's that simple. Alright, I got the sway bar disconnect stock brackets off. I had a heck of a time getting the upper ones off. they were kind of rusted on there, and it was just an awkward place to get at it. And I don't have the strength I used to. I had to really lube them up good with WD-40 and vinegar and let that soak, and then I had my son come out and he was finally able to break them free. One thing though, that when you're taking them off that's not obvious is the bracket sits in there like this, okay, and then on the end, once you break it loose, to loosen the bolt all the way off, you have to put this number 8 in there to hold it while you turn the knot out. Otherwise this whole thing just turns and you can't get, you know, it's sitting in there like this, and you're on the back side of it, so you can't see what you're doing. So that was a little tricky, and it wasn't obvious, and none of the instructions I had said anything about that. So remember, if it's sitting in here in the frame and you're working behind everything, you've got to, after you break the nut loose, you've got to take this number 8 and the Allen head and hold it in there, and then you can kind of hold that and use your wrench to turn it off. So, all right, now I'm going to set up the Apex and then try to get those installed while the rust stuff is drying. Okay. Oh, the other thing is I did change out my air filter, and interesting enough, it was done once before at about 30,000 miles at the dealership. There is only one screw holding this whole airbox on, so those other 2 back there are gone. He probably dropped them and never bothered to put them back, so I will have to get 2 more, put them in there. I mean, I've been driving around for, I don't know, 15,000, 40,000 miles that way, I guess, since the last time it was changed. But yeah, I'm glad I looked at it. So I can't always trust the dealerships. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, I just got done installing the Apex AutoLynx 2.0 manual quick disconnects. See, those are in there now. They were not too bad to install. The hardest part was taking the other one off, probably because it was kind of rusted on there. You know, if you get a new one, you want to put them on there, I'd advise doing it right away. But it was pretty straightforward. You set it for a stock, you set it at 6. It actually measures out at like 5.5. It's close enough. You set it at the lowest setting at 6. And you can just follow the online instructions. I think there's a couple of videos out there that are pretty straightforward and do it well. So I had no trouble putting them on. I just had a little trouble taking them off. And I've already covered what the issue was there. You do have the same thing though. When you put them on, you'll see I've got my Allen head wrench in here and an open box and ratchet behind there. So you see what I mean? If you don't have that Allen head wrench in there and it's not, they don't tell you about it, it's difficult to understand, and nobody really covers that well. But that's what you're doing. Okay, so pretty much recap. Changed the air filter, rotated my tires, took care of the rust. Now that's got to dry 24 hours, that stuff. It's looking really good, as you can see. All the rust is covered up, it's bonded well, it's changed colors, it's dark. I'll hit it with a top coat tomorrow, but I've got to put the tires on and move this thing out of the way because I can't close my garage door. I'm sticking out too far. So I'll take care of that, and then tomorrow I probably won't film it. I'll just hit it with spray paint as quick as I can. Nothing fun to watch there. But in the next video, I'll start to go over some of the equipment that we'll be taking with us to Wyoming, some of the things I bought for the camper, as well as overlanding gear that I picked up. And I'll probably just do one video to cover everything that I got rather than a bunch of little ones. And yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait. Less than 3 weeks away. So until next time, thanks for following along, and we'll see you on the trail.